All right, record. We started a lot later than I intended. All right, you can start.
Okay, so welcome to, what is this, podcast number 8 of PA Bluecollar Outdoors. We got Cody here, no guests today. We're just kind of go over our season. Today was the last day, well, Monday is the last day of flintlock season. Archery continues until the 27th, so they have another week. I don't think I'm going to go out. It was very cold and windy and snowy today. It was miserable. So our season of hunting is pretty much wrapped up for this hunting season, and we're going to wait till, the next season really is turkey season. I mean, small game's still in, but we don't really hit that real hard at all. So we're kind of going to go over our previous hunting season of 2023 and a little bit of 2024 here at the end when we were able to do some flintlock. So I'll just let Cody go and lead us into that.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast. Appreciate you guys stopping by. If you guys are listening on iTunes or Spotify, I guess Apple Podcasts, leave us, a review on there. Leave us some information, some feedback. The more that you guys, if you leave reviews, it helps push our podcast, and we really appreciate it if you do that. We want to get more into this, but we just haven't had enough, push to do it. So we just do it when we can here and there. Maybe eventually, if it does kind of take off a little bit, then we'll kind of put more money into it. We've already started putting more money into it. We just got a new camera, which is real exciting. So
yeah, that's a big step.
Yeah, we got a new camera. We're really excited
big
about
upgrade.
It. Yeah, and
which we just got that one last year when we started our shed hunting series.
Yep, exactly.
So we're able to sell some hats, some merchandise, and I mean we still use some of our own money because our channel's still small, and we bought ourselves a camera, which is you got to start from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we didn't buy the best camera, but we bought a pretty good one where it should last us a few years.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if not, it's going to be our podcast one after that. If we ever buy a new one, but we still got to buy a few things for it, like another lens and a cover and stuff like that. But that's besides the point. So if you want to support this channel, also on Tipsy Rippers on our YouTube side of things, we do have memberships now. We don't go live or anything, but it would help if you guys would be interested in that. It does help support us. You guys do get benefits like in the chat, and you get certain specific emojis, and we can set that up a little bit further. But also, we also have a PayPal too. If you guys ever want to give us a donation, it's just our email. You should be able to find it. tipsyrippers@gmail.com. You should be able to find that. If you ever want to throw us a few bucks or whatever, we'd appreciate it. We're not asking for it. This is not an ad. It's just, if you want to see more content, it helps us, buy things to make reviews or make videos of. And I know I'm kind of going off the beaten path, but we also, another video that's going to be coming up is a real good one. We did throw a little short video about 2 knives on there. So we're going to have a real cool video of that coming up. We're also going to have a nice maybe challenge video with a gun. So we're eager to do that. So, but
a couple more reviews. I think I got a couple shell reviews we're going to do when turkey season comes.
Yep.
And maybe we'll get some, I'm sure we'll get some turkey hunting footage.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a couple other video ideas too. We're just trying to hit different areas really to broaden our spectrum on our YouTube channel. We just don't stick to one thing. We do everything, which a lot of people don't do.
Yeah, and I mean that might hurt us in the long run, but we get to be creative, and we like to kind of do what we want to do, and we get different crowds, and that might deter people.
We just have fun with it. We don't. Yeah. We try to make it less like a job. Sometimes it does feel like a job, but at the end, it's fun making videos about it. You can go back and watch them like, oh, this was so cool when we got to go on this hunt or install this or whatever.
Yeah, and also we'll have a better video for TAC this year coming out. Just reminded me of that. So new camera, we'll have some new, just a better. I just didn't think that one was. It could have turned out better with a better camera. Yeah. But it turned out still good. I mean, but without further ado, we'll go back into it. I kind of just like to. We don't address this enough because we don't want to be pushing all this stuff on you guys because this is mainly our podcast, but we do have to mention it because it helps us in the long run. And if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go check out our YouTube. We greatly appreciate it. We also sell hats. We also have a small merch store too. So, anyways,
We've done 2 hat giveaways now too. So
yes, and we're doing one tomorrow, Sunday. So you're gonna listen to this a week late, but we do giveaways for our merch and stuff like that here and there.
all you got to do is like or comment on our Facebook page. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, and we have a Facebook page. Go on there. We also have a group we're trying to grow on our group. Maybe eventually we'll make a Discord so we have a chat room for people to discuss and stuff if people want that, but that could be down the road. But all right, so let's talk about the season. So we had a really exciting season.
A very different one.
Yeah, very and
in many ways.
Yep. And I feel like I got more of, I guess, the lucky season this year because William was letting me try to go after one in the beginning, and I really wish he would have taken his bow, but he was focused on filming. So,
I still had fun.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of firsts. A lot of firsts for both of us.
Yeah.
A lot of firsts.
Yeah. So, I mean, we started off, we didn't do a food plot this year. We had to move our spots. We had to go in 2 new areas.
Move all our stands around.
Yep. We had a blind, and that was the first, of course. Yeah. We never really archery hunted out of a blind, really, or at all, I guess.
No. Other than in turkey season.
Yeah, I think I rifle hunted before out of a blind, but I never really, I never thought it was like a big, like, I don't know. I never looked at them like, okay, I want to hunt in a blind. Like I was like hunting out of a tree stand.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it was still, it still worked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. Like, I always wanted to put a blind in the middle of a field. So I always wanted to buy like one of those ones that look like
a hay bale.
Oh, okay. Throw it in the middle.
Yeah.
How many deer go in that field, man?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a way to do it. But it's also hard because you have to get them close.
Yeah. And you're in a field.
Yeah. So really, like,
there's nothing that's like geographically going to pull the deer to you. You don't know where they're going to come from or come by or.
Yep, exactly. That's why people hunt edges of fields or down pass and stuff. But I'm trying to think. So first day, we made a video of it.
Some shorts too.
Yeah, we did.
The first day was pretty exciting. We also had Andrew tag along quite a few hunts, archery, first time archery hunter, Andrew, that we got him into it.
Yeah. So for us, it was me and Andrew was pretty dead. We seen a squirrel outside at the morning. And then William.
I brought my dad along, which he never archery hunted in his life, and he's 67 years old. So, and you seen him on our last podcast. Me and him went to the blind, which is a totally new spot. All new. We never even put a tree stand there, never hunted. We walked through it before in like rifle season and stuff. First day, like first thing, as soon as it got light out, immediately 2 bucks came down. It was so cool to see that. Two legal bucks. They were small though. But it was so cool. They came within 20 yards. I got a video of them, a short. I made a short out of it. It was so cool. I even asked my dad, "Have you ever seen deer up that close before, especially bucks?" He's like, "No." It was really neat that happened.
Yeah, and a 4-point came too.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Yep, 4-point. But those 2 8-points come right in, like one and right after the other. They were rubbing some trees right around us. It was so cool.
Yeah, it was cool to watch it because you're telling me about it, but I'm like, why didn't you shoot it? And William was trying to go after a target buck this year, but it just, once the season hit, they started changing their patterns, and like they do because the season started earlier than it used to. So we weren't really used to the change, I guess. In the past couple of years, it's been starting earlier.
Yeah.
Usually it doesn't start till. When did it start before? I don't remember.
It would usually start like October, the first week of October.
Yeah,
this was like September 30th, which is funny because the day before I got married on a Friday, and then Saturday was the first day. So I had a big first day too because I had to go with Dean to get his side-by-side that day. So I only hunted in the morning. So it was a big 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, me and Andrew, after you guys were doing that, you guys met us, right? Did we meet up?
Yeah,
later.
I think, yeah.
Well, me and Andrew walked around and we seen a couple doe, but we spooked one, and then we didn't get a chance at it because it ran down a hill. Well, I told Andrew just be ready because we're bound to see one coming up over this hill, and well, we did. We seen 4 doe, 2 we don't know where it went, but the other 2. All right, guys. So we're using our new camera. We only got 10 minutes, and we were talking probably for a good half an hour.
So we're back.
We're back. Hopefully this isn't lopsided because it looks lopsided. So we're back. We had some good conversation going, some good conversing.
So I know right where we left off at. Really,
Yeah, we left off right when you were talking about your part.
the first day archery.
Yes.
Yeah. So pretty much me and my dad, we seen 2 bucks, legal ones. They were small. They came right in one after another. We seen a 4-point. You and Andrew just seen a doe that day, right?
Well, we seen total of 5 doe. So after you seen all those bucks, we got out of the tree stand and we went and met you, and then we walked up on one doe, kicked it up, went down to the hill, and then we were walking up over the hill to the top, on top of the high wall, and then we seen 4 doe. Well, 2 of them ran out the far end, and then the other 2 ran like right in front of us, and the one kept running and the other one stopped probably 25 yards. There's some brush and stuff and trees in the way, so I told Andrew to sneak up in there, kind of stay behind the tree and see if he can get a shot. I stayed back to film, and I also stayed back so then there wasn't much noise, you know. So he got real close and he said he could see perfect spot, and I didn't know. I was trying to tell him, I said, is there, like I didn't know if it was there. I couldn't even see it. And I kept telling him, I said, you know, can you shoot? Can you shoot? And he couldn't hear me because I'm whispering, you know. And he just didn't take the shot. And then he he wanted me to come up. He kept waving me, come on, come on. I'm like, I don't want to come up. I'm not scared. Mm-hmm. And then by the time he was like dicking around a little bit, it ran. He's like, I had a shot. I just didn't know if it was a good shot, and I wanted to ask you. And I'm like, you wanted to ask me anyways because it's right there.
Yeah,
so I was like, if you didn't feel comfortable, then it's better you didn't shoot. So
yeah, it's nice that we took Andrew with us a couple times. He went with Cody, a couple times went with me. You know, he's a first-time archery shooter. It was nice that we kind of brought him under our wing and kind of showed him. I mean, we're not experts either, but I'm sure he felt very helped in the whole situation with multiple situations. We've seen a lot of deer. He's never shot a buck before at all in his life, so we've seen a lot of bucks with him, which was really cool. We got to have him see those, and he was so excited, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was real excited. Real excited. We'll kind of go in that a little bit. He went with us quite a few times this year. We just couldn't get him set up right where we wanted. There's a couple times he went up in a climber. And he seen doe, they just didn't come close enough. What else?
I had a couple. There was 2 doe when we were walking to in like the same spot that you guys were. That came out, and I'm like, stop! I'm like, Andrew, there's a doe right there. And we could just see the top of their heads over a little hill. Well, they like kind of moseyed out and like went up, and they were about 60 yards away. So I'm like, let's try and close the gap a little bit on them. Well, he was in front of me, and I'm trying to film. And again, filming is just as hard as hunting is. When you're trying to film and hunt at the same time, whether it's you hunting or not, it's still like it's nerve-wracking.
And it makes it harder too, like because you're trying to get in the spot you need to be to see the film, and I've seen many like big YouTubers not like I've literally just seen one of Chris B like not too long ago. He didn't shoot the bigger deer because he couldn't get it on film. So
yeah, I give props to people that film and hunt. It's hard.
Yeah,
and that's a perfect example.
It really is, and it was a mule deer, but it's like great, crazy.
So when I had him with me one time, we were in the stand, the lower stand, and it was early morning, still dark out, and we had a deer come up behind us. We weren't sure what it was, but he gets real excited, which, I mean, who wouldn't? And then we had a buck come out about probably 50, 60 yards away, we couldn't tell if it was legal, but he's asking me like, oh, where'd it go? Where do you think it went? You think we should go get it? So we're not really sure where it went. I didn't see it the rest of the day. And we pretty much met up with Cody that day. It was a pretty decent day. I'm glad we at least seen deer. We probably seen deer almost every day we went out. We tried to hunt every Saturday.
Yep.
We really hit it hard this season. We both used climbers. We both were moving around. That was a first. I hadn't used a climber in a long time. We used a cell phone camera this year. That was a big thing too.
Cellular
camera. we were moving it around constantly trying to pinpoint these deer because where we hunt at, it's a big area. It's spread out and it's private, but there's no ag fields. All the ag fields are around it, so we're just hunting, like Cody said, a giant pass-through area, so to speak. So it's tougher to like pinpoint when they're going to be there and where.
Yeah, we have a lot of nighttime bucks. You know,
a lot.
So
even early morning.
You know, we tried hunting the beds, but it just, by the time we located them, it was too late, you know, so.
So, that kind of goes into, do you want to tell your story, how you seen that real big one? You walked up on that one?
Yeah, we can talk about that. I mean, so something talk like to Andrew, we also had another experience where this is after, well, we'll talk about my buck first.
Yeah, this was after that, yeah. No, it was after because I was down in the bottom and you were up top, and so was Andrew.
Yeah, because then we have another story about that.
Because you came in later and me and Andrew went real early.
Yeah, so I went. So this part of the hunting, it was probably a little bit later in the season, but I went to the shanty. So then I gave Andrew the climber, so he had a little bit of chance because where I put it at was a nice path where all the doe were coming. So. I wanted him to have a shot at it, and he did get some, I think 50 yards, but not close enough because I had some good views there. Well, they were still in their climber, and they were asking me if they should get down. I said, well, let me go walk around, see if I see anything, see if I kick anything to you. And I went towards, I walked the beds that they were at, and I didn't see anything. And then I came up on a 4-point. I was like 60 yards. I came up to 20, 25 yards, which was really cool. And I just watched it lay there for a good 15 minutes. Meanwhile, my phone's vibrating like a bunch because William and Andrew both, where are you? Where the f are you? Where are you at?
Meanwhile, I think it was raining and we couldn't really text a whole lot because our phones would get wet.
Yeah, so I ended up coming back around. I'm like, I'm coming. I'm like, where are you guys at? And they're like, oh, they're in the shanty. So I'm like, okay, I'll make my way around. So I went around the pond and I'm looking down. I'm like, sometimes they bed down there. And I literally was making my way to the edge of the pond, and I turned off my GoPro, which I shouldn't have because it would have been awesome. I turned off my GoPro literally probably 30 seconds before I went down to the pond. I'm like, I'm using my battery. I'm going to save it. Well, literally, I walk up, and there is a buck stands up right in front of me, 5 feet, big, the big one. I'll put the huge. I'll put the photo if I remember.
Like big for around here.
Yeah.
Like just to put that into perspective.
Yeah, for around here, big. I don't care. It's big. Like this
real tall.
I couldn't even tell you. They look like almost
a foot. A good foot.
Yeah, at least
tall,
a foot. Yeah.
All of
I'm
them.
probably exaggerating
G2,
it,
G3.
Yeah.
Like he's only an 8-point.
And he's a big deer. He's
big
huge.
bodied deer.
Well, he popped up right in front of me, and I'm like, I always have an arrow in my bow when I'm walking, just because, other than if it gets real brushy or whatnot. And so I trying to get my release on. I'm like, what do I do? I'm freaking out. I'm like, this thing's right in front of me. It's staring at me. What felt like 5 minutes was probably like 20 seconds, not even. And I'm thinking, what the heck do I do? So I'm like, screw it. So I hurry up, turn, try to pull back. He's already running, and there's a little hill. So he jumps down. I'm like, okay, if he stops there, I'm ready to shoot him. And he stops, and as soon as he lands, he cuts. And I'm like, shit. So I'm like, I have no shot. So I'm like, what do I do? So I hurry up, went down the path, went down, and they're probably thinking up top, what the fuck is he going? And then I seen a
we just seen him walking back and forth along the pond.
Yeah.
I just remember that, and I was like, we're like, what is he doing?
I'm trying to decide what to do. I was like, what do I do? I was like, do I go way up and then try to cut him off, or do I just try to follow him, see if he stopped? I'm like, well, if I try to cut up, he's probably going up the hill. So I just went down and seen a pheasant, distracted me for a good 30 seconds. Thought about shooting it. I'm like, I don't got tags. Don't shoot it. And just, I've never seen one out there, so it was real cool.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah, so it's the only one I seen, and I just, you know, how their feathers are real reflective and stuff. They're real pretty.
Iridescent.
Yeah, iridescent.
Yeah, like turkey feathers are cool, but they got, I don't know, they're a nice bird.
But like, they're like bluer though. Like they have like a bluer tint.
Yeah, yeah.
So, anyways, I went along and I didn't see. I was like punching through, and then I finally went up to them. Is this the same day where?
No.
No, this is a different day. Okay.
No, I think that was like the next weekend.
Yeah.
Because that Friday night, I was down in the in my climber in the bottom after work. I think it was the day after you shot your doe, which he spot and stalked a doe successfully, and there was deer out everywhere that day, and I literally drove my truck through the field right up to him where his doe was.
Yep.
And there was one big buck. We're not really sure because they're like, again, 300 yards away.
Yep.
We're trying to look at him. I drove my truck right out there, and granted, my truck's loud, but I wasn't like romping on it. I drove it right out through there, and them bucks were just down there the whole time feeding down at the pond. Two big bucks.
Yep.
It was. We just sat there and watched them for a good while, even while we were gutting your deer out. I'm like, they're still down there.
Yeah.
And then
exactly.
finally, when like dusk came, just about where you couldn't see, they like just kind of moseyed down into the woods, about right where you seen that one bedded down.
Yep.
Like, and even that before that, I had seen a nice 8-point right along the road. It just stopped, and I even turned around and drove by it two more times, and it was still standing there.
Yep.
So that was cool. I was able to get a picture of it. It was a nice deer.
Yeah, it was, and you took a photo of it. We'll reverb back, or whatever the word is, reverse back, I guess. English, Cody. We'll go back to like where we spotted and stalked, and we had some good film of it. So
because that was before. Was that before this?
Yes, this is before
it was
this.
pouring down rain.
Pouring down. This was third week, I think. I'd say it's the third.
Yeah,
it's the third week.
Yeah,
so
in October.
Third week. And I do want to notate when William says we're hitting it hard, it just means that we were actually able to go each weekend and maybe once during the week,
or
every
twice.
other week, which wasn't very much for
even
us.
if it was raining.
Most people get to hunt. They're hunting a ton, like at least 3 days a week.
We didn't take any days off work.
Yeah, we don't. I need to start doing it, but for us hitting it hard, that's what it means. We don't have enough time. We have too many hobbies, too many responsibilities, and hunting is like high on it, but not high enough to like president over this.
Yes.
But anyways, we
13 minutes.
Okay. So sorry guys, if this sounds a little different, it's because we're doing it on our new camera with our microphone versus our mics because our phones are full. So, anyways, we
sat in the shanty.
Sat in the shanty, and we seen a buck right in front of us.
Yeah, it was dark out still.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're watching it. We're like, is it legal? Is it legal? We're like, no. Finally, he comes in closer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, it's legal. I'm like, it's got one extra point on that one side. It was huge though. We're like, we just kept saying to each other, we're like, how is that not legal? How is that not legal?
I think you'll like that.
And we're watching it, and it comes in. Well, and it ended up coming in closer, and where our shanty is, it's in like on the edge of this ridge line, right where these woods are, and the woods are about 100 yards wide, and that goes into another field, so it's a good pass-through area. But the field is all weeds that are like at least 3 foot high, so it's terrible.
You can't see anything.
Meanwhile, probably a week before this, we had spot and stalked 2 doe, if you remember, right?
Yeah,
I had to crawl on my hands and knees about a couple 100 yards through these weeds with my bow, with a camera, trying to follow Cody, and we're trying to pinpoint these doe. He did end up getting pretty close to them.
Oh, I got real close to them, but by the time I couldn't see them, and they were right in front of me. They were like 10, 15 yards. I couldn't see them because they were. The grass is so high and so dark.
I mean, like,
I just couldn't
like
do it.
This high.
We have video of it, and I told him to get closer. I was more worried about getting on film too.
I'm trying not to scare them. I'm like crawling on my hands and knees.
Yep.
I have my bow strapped to my chest. I'm holding the camera, crawling through these weeds.
Yeah, and I could have got some 10, 15 yards, and I could have, but like I couldn't see because they went over the knoll. And then I'm like, crap, they went away. And then we ended up I got so close. It took me probably 25 minutes to get that close, like working my way
Yeah,
up
and
slowly.
plus he was closer to them where I was like farther away down the wood line out of the woods, and I had to like kind of mosey my way over towards him. But I was trying to get a good angle so I could see both him and the deer on camera.
Yep. And I was on my hands and knees crawling, and being the cameraman, you don't want to scare him because you're the second man, so like you got to worry
could mess
about
up
it.
the whole thing.
Yeah, which I was telling him come closer because I'd rather him get it on film and then if we miss the opportunity because this is something cool, like so that got me pumped up because I got that close. And meanwhile, our I guess he's kind of not our brother-in-law, but he was watching from like 300 yards away, ready to watch me do this, which is real cool. Cause
what we were doing, he's probably, at the same time, he's probably like, oh wow, look at these guys. Crawling through the weeds. It was kind of miserable because there is a lot of jaggers and stuff down in that section.
Well, even just going through the high grasses, it's prickly. Like it just catches on everything, and you just hear, and then you're just like, I'm being so loud. How don't they hear me? But I got so close to them. I wish I would have went the other way because they're walking out. I thought they were going to be walking over, and I didn't plan ahead, which that's how you learn.
So back to where this came from, the high grass. So the grass is real high, and that 7-point come up towards us, and then there's like a little knoll right in front of our shanty, and the grass is so high, and the deer always took that path, and they would walk right in front of us, and we could never see them, and that's what ended up happening.
Yep.
To that 7-point, he just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, and he was legal, and we thought he's not legal, and then he got like 5 yards closer, just light enough because it was there was an overcast and we couldn't tell exactly
because it was still real dark out.
Yeah, so he finally got a little bit closer. We seen, this is legal, and we're like, crap, what do we do? Like if we would have known he was legal sooner, we would have made some moves beforehand. But
yeah, so back to
seen a bunch of deer that day.
Yeah, we did. We're kind of all down now, and we look out in the field and back to where the other deer were at. Before this, the 2 doe we tried to spawn stock the week before, we seen there was 2 deer out there. I'm like, let's go. Let's go.
Yep.
So I was just filming. Cody, we book it out there. Well, we ended up right on top of the hill. We kicked the little doe out.
Little deer.
It kicked out and started jumping, and Cody's like, oh, should I shoot it? I'm like, oh, no, it's small. I'm like, let's just go to our original plan. Let's go try to get those deer down there. Meanwhile, I don't even know how far away that was from the shanty. 700 yards or so. It's
600, somewhere around there.
So we make our way up around the knoll and start down, and I'm filming it.
I do want to note, we were pretty positive one was a buck because I could kind of
pouring down rain.
Yeah, it was pouring rain. Yep.
It was cold.
Yep.
And I'm trying to film. We get down there close. We're crouched down. We're kind of crawling, and I'm like, let's throw something, because they bedded down. We couldn't see them. Like, you'd see a deer in them weeds for 1 second.
Yep.
If 1 second you took your eyes off of them, they're gone because they lay down. And we kind of figured that out over time. We thought maybe they ran away. No, they just lay down.
Well, William's like, Cody's got a plan here. I don't know what it is. And I'm thinking, man, I watched this how many times. They throw something, kick them up. And I'm like looking for stuff. I'm like, we're going to throw something. William's like really looking for rocks and stuff, and I'm like, so I found a bone, and then you're like trying to talk to me. I didn't even hear you. You're like, Cody. I have the bone. You're like, oh, me throw? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So then you can be ready, because I'm like, he might as well be ready to shoot. I'll throw it while I'm filming, so he can just be ready to shoot instead of trying to throw something and then try and shoot.
Well, no offense to William, but he threw it like my son that's 11 months old, and didn't throw it very far.
So funny. So that didn't work. It didn't kick the deer out. So Cody found a rock.
Yep, I found a rock, like a good sized rock.
Gave it a good lob. It had a lot of airtime.
Yeah, because I mean, nothing against William. He didn't really know where to throw it because we both didn't know.
Yeah, we had no idea.
He just chucked it. We were just chucking it. I was just making jokes. So he just chucked it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try somewhere else because where we're seeing them, I'm like, okay, I think they're further down. So I lobbed it in there, And it took a good minute because we started walking again.
Mm-hmm.
We started walking again, and then like I see it in my court, like I'm looking left and right.
Yeah, we're like,
left and
they're
right.
gone. They're gone. They
They're
didn't.
gone. Yeah.
If
we're
that
like,
didn't kick them up, what the heck? Where are they at?
Yeah, and I thought like it wasn't immediately he jumped up. It took him a good like I would say 20 seconds, and then all of a sudden I seen the corner of my eye it popped up. I'm like, I got down. You got down immediately.
Yeah.
Like, I was like surprised. I'm like, I was about to tell you to get down, and you're already down.
Yeah.
And I was like, Buck, and you're right behind this bush.
Yeah, and I'm like trying to film.
He's trying to film, and he's like, I don't see it. I don't see it. So I'm like, telling him, yeah, there's a buck right there. And I'm like, I don't know the yardage. Like, it's staring right at me. And I'm like, I don't know what, I don't think I can get a range. So I'm like, okay, if I remember right, he's 30 yards away. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go with my second pin. So I'm like, screw it. So I'm like, whoop. And I get the pin right on him. Poof. You can see the freaking rain going off. It's awesome. And then I seen it dip, and I'm like, shit. I'm like, I hit low. I didn't hit it. And then
They took off running, and we got that on film.
Yeah. And I'm like, crap. I shot low. I said that was a lot further than what I like in the moment that I thought. Like, it would have. And I'm glad we went around. But if we would have been right there, we would have been like 5 yards.
Yeah,
from that
like real close.
Yeah.
They might have stood up sooner. That who knows?
Which is crazy because how far did we walk in before we turned around? We
Pretty
walked
far.
in pretty like almost
Yeah.
right on top of them.
Pretty far.
And then we turned around. Well, anyways, they run and I'm beating myself up. I see.
I didn't even know one was a buck. They were running so fast. They were doing the whole.
Yeah, and he was legal. He wasn't huge. He was decent size. But my goal was to spot and stalk and do that, which was real cool.
So then later on, like not very much longer,
10 minutes.
we
not
proceed down the path into the wood line. There's a big ridge overlooking a big plot of woods, and where they're bedding at, we kind of moseyed our way over there real slow in the rain. We're soaked by this point, by the way,
Soaked.
absolutely soaked. I mean, I had waterproof coat on, but like underneath, like it like went right through it. Like I was just soaked. So we proceeded along the ridge line, and we're looking, and all of a sudden we see these 3 deer, and we're like, oh, holy crap, there's deer down there. There's deer down there. So Cody takes the lead, and I'm still filming. So we kind of sneak up on him a little closer, and I still know to this day the spot. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but
yeah.
it was still cool. And it's raining. They have no idea we're watching them. We make it closer and closer to them. We're still up on the ridge, and they're down below. I can only see 3 deer at this point. I know one of them is a buck, and one of them's a doe.
Yeah, and the one buck, I'm almost positive they were the same deer that we just
we kicked out. Oh yeah,
I'm
which
almost
is
positive,
believable.
like-
They just met up with another one.
So I'm looking. I'm like, it's legal, or hey, there's a buck, but I can't tell if it's legal and how far it is. So I was like trying to range it. I kept hitting branches, and I was like, I don't have a good range. I said, William, can you try to range it for me? Like trying to whisper, and we're both can't
Yeah,
hear
and
each
it's
other.
loud. It's raining.
Yeah, and we're both getting like worried.
There's still
'cause, like,
leaves on the trees. It's so noisy.
Yep. So like no way they could hear us. We probably should have got a little closer. Hindsight.
We were pretty close though.
I know, but we still couldn't hear each other.
Yeah.
It's so loud, and so, I'm trying. I'm like, I actually had a perfect shot at the beginning.
It was right in the
Yep.
It was right in an opening.
And I didn't know what the range was. He ranged it.
I didn't even know what deer he was gonna shoot at. I'm like, I don't know. And come to find out, Cody's like, after he shot, which was really cool because I got it on film. You could see like he said, the water fly off the limbs of his bow when he shot. That was so cool. And then I see another deer run, and Cody's like, "Oh, you should have seen that buck in front." And I'm like, "I thought you shot at the back one."
Yeah.
I'm like, "I didn't even see that other one standing there."
So what happened was that one was quartering away, right between 2 limbs, and I'm like, I was a little weary about that shot because it was a little further than what I would like. I think it was 37 or something. And I'm like, downhill. I was like, I don't know about a 36. Well, then he ended up turning around. Well, then all of a sudden, just for a glimpse, I seen a bit bigger buck. He wasn't the big one, but he was. We have him on camera. He's like a bigger 8.
Which is also probably he's a half rack now.
Yeah, I think he's a half rack. Yeah. And I thought he was gonna come up over the hill, so I was waiting and waiting. Well, the other buck was like standing in a perfect spot, just like a small hole like this that I knew I could hit, but I couldn't tell the range, and I was if you've seen the video, I'm ranging. I'm like ranging
Yeah.
it 30 times.
Constantly.
And I could not get a good. It was telling me it was 22 or something. And I was like, dude, that looks a little further than 22.
Didn't you shoot for 20?
Yes. And I'm like, that looks further than 22. Like, that looks like 30. And I'm like, I should use my gut. And you know what? When I shot, it went right, dipped underneath him. And I was so pissed off.
Yeah, he beat himself up the rest of the day.
I was so mad. I'm like,
And we were soaked, adding insult to injury.
I missed 2 deer in a day. $2.
And we were soaked.
And I was mad. Like, I was like livid. And I was like, there was like almost like blood stains on the fletching, but there was no blood on the arrow.
Yeah,
so I
but
thought
we
maybe,
contemplated it was dirt. So
Yeah.
what, for
I think it was clay or something.
3 more hours, we sat there and tracked this deer and looked around,
Yeah.
back and forth, back and forth. Nothing. We walked so much in 3 hours.
Yeah, nothing at all. I just wanted to make sure I didn't hit it because I was real worried because it was raining and, you know, that's risky.
And the rain would wash it right away. How hard it was raining, it would wash
Yeah.
the blood right away,
Yep.
right off everything.
Yep. But I'm almost 100% sure I didn't hit it. I think my fletchings were red from something else. I think from like an earlier shot.
Yeah, or the dirt, because it
Yeah.
could have been. It was very hard to tell because
Yeah.
even the rain would wash the dirt off and turn it a different color. Who
Mhm.
knows? Who knows? So the next weekend, we were all on our climbers. Me and Andrew went out real early. He was up in Cody's climber and I was in mine down below the pond where the deer we had on camera constantly, either at night or in the morning, would come to that scrape,
Mm-hmm.
which I hunted a Thursday before and a Friday after work, you know, the little time we have to hunt. And it was going to rain later that day. So we're like, oh, maybe we should get down, you know, before it rains. So we got down about 10 o'clock. And I'm not really sure where Cody was at. He came later, a little bit later, but not too much. Me and Andrew went in there super early. So I remember getting down and just walking out, kind of. Well, here, Andrew had already got down. He walked out past the shanty up on the ridge line. And Cody was behind me. You were behind me.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not joking. I walked out along the breastwork of the pond, and here's these 3 bucks up in the field from me about 200 yards, get up and just start running. And I was like, holy crap. One of them was the big one. There was a smaller 8 and an even smaller one. I was like, here they ran right up past Andrew. And he's like, I'm panicking. He's like texting us. It was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So Cody met up with Andrew up there, and I'm trying to call Cody, see where he's at. I'm like, hey, these deer are on the run. And
Well, no. What happened was I met up with you, and then we talked.
oh,
to
then
Andrew.
we split up. That's right.
Because I told you to go around, but I think the problem was, I guess I wanted you to go the whole way up and go the whole way around, where you thought I meant just go and cut in.
Yeah, cut in, down, and below.
Yeah.
And it's raining at this point, so we're getting soaked. And Cody had met up with Andrew, and I apparently scared these deer because I cut in too soon. I should have went clean out around.
Yeah, which it happens. What happened was I walk up and I'm looking for Andrew. I'm trying to go slow. I'm looking, and I finally seen him. Well, there was those 3 deer.
We weren't sure where he was at because he's unfamiliar
Yeah.
with the area
He
completely.
was trying to explain to us. We couldn't locate him. So I finally located him. We're watching him. I'm like, okay, let's move over here so we're like out of the crest of the hill, because if they come up, they said, let me throw some rattles and see if I can rattle it in. You know, right now it's the peak is like
It's pre-rut.
So they get a little testy. Well, so I'm like I've done this before. I've plenty of times. You know, rattle them. The smaller ones are going to come, not the bigger ones. So I rattled this. The bigger one went up over the hill. Smaller one just coming straight for us. I'm like, Andrew's like, can I please take this one? I said, because I was like having ready, just because like instinct. I'm like, yeah, you can have it. So I'm like ready in the call. I'm ready to I got my video ready, and it gets to the bottom of the hill, starts coming up, and all of a sudden it runs away. I'm like, what the fart? Like, what the heck? Like, Bite it.
Okay.
Sorry, we it stops recording after half an hour, but what was I
So the
saying?
deer got scared. You didn't know why they got scared.
Yes, and then we found out later it was this dildo over there.
Yeah, because I
scared
cut
him.
in too.
He cut in right on top. He's like, "Oh, I don't think I scared it." And I said, I was trying to figure out where he went at. Like
I
where he
couldn't
came
even
in.
find them. I didn't know where they were at either.
Yeah, well, I didn't give
which
good
he's
directions.
got now. We got walkie-talkies now, so we can
Yes.
way better communicate, way quicker. Rather, I had no idea where. Here they were in the other field,
Yep.
on the other side of the woods where I couldn't even see them, and I walked past them 3 times.
Yep. He kept walking, and he's like, he passed us, but I thought I would have seen him pass us, but
But you can't.
yeah. So, anyways, he didn't get a shot. Well, I told there was some doe in the field over there. So meanwhile, while he's looking for us, Andrew sneaks up and he goes along, and there's like 3 doe. Well, I only seen one, but
We
there
guys
was
were
3 doe.
kneeling down too.
Yeah.
So
What?
I don't have infrared vision.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, I was trying to look for you, but I must have not looked at the right time. So he is making his way down while I'm trying to like get him over here, and I try to walk in, and then I like try to like whistle. I whistled for him.
Yeah, because he couldn't see the deer either.
Yeah, so I could see the doe the whole time. I'm watching. He's cutting up, and he couldn't remember where it was at. He got 10 yards from this doe. 10 yards. Couldn't see it. Couldn't see it right below him and beside the bush, bedded down. I mean, the grass is high. You know, they're bedded down sometimes, and especially if you don't know you're looking, if you're not familiar with the area, he could have shot it. But it was real cool. He worked in from, I would say, 400 yards the whole way into 10 yards. And if you would have seen it, that would have been so cool. So that was a really good day. But what we'll go into is...
Cody got to have Thursdays off.
Yeah, I got to have Thursdays, which seemed to be really good days. And I was
based on our camera and stuff,
Yeah.
that we were seeing deer on Thursdays and stuff. And we switched up. We switched up where our camera was at, and I'm like, hey, there's a giant scrape up here. It's huge. It's like a double scrape. So we decided to put it up there on there. That was a good move by us because we got a lot of big deer on there consistently in the morning. We'd seen that big one. We'd seen a half rack. We'd seen another big one. There was consistently deer all the time right through there in the pass-through area.
Yeah.
Right by our shanty it happened to be. So
that was a good scrape you picked. And I was going to put it on a different one. I didn't even see that one.
So, which in the summer we had a camera up there and it wasn't getting nothing.
No, nothing at all.
So we decided to move our climbers up there in the general area too. I remember that same day you had to leave. Me and Andrew hunted the rest of the day, which we didn't see anything. So Cody got to hunt Thursdays, and he chose a really good spot for his climber. And I'll let you.
Yeah, so well, Andrew was telling me where he's seen them bed down, which the more we talked about it, I think it was the same deer you seen. He just must not have been able to see them over the hill. So I got in there late that day. So I went in Thursday. I got in there late, later than I thought. I was like, crap. I was like, did not mean to get in this late. I almost didn't go because I woke up late and I didn't get in there. And I was like, I just decided to go. I kicked up deer when I went in. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a crappy day. I was like, this sucks. I'm up in there, and I was like, all right. I got up there pretty late. It was light out. Everything could see me. Well, I ended up seeing like a bunch of deer way in the field. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, you know. But they're like 400 yards away from me. And I'm like, they ain't coming my way because they're in the other property that I have access to. Well, I'm watching on my left. There's deer in the field there too. I'm like, oh, this is exciting. Well, I want to say
This was rut too.
yeah, this is right. This is the week prior, though. I went hunting and or no, what was it? What day? I went a day and I seen a few bucks on the one day we went, and he was 50 yards. I seen a big buck too, but he was too far. He was 62 yards. So it made me really want to go back there because they're going in that area. So that's why I went there. So to go back to the story, was I seen 3 doe and I seen 2 buck. One was 4-point, and then the other one was a bigger one. Well, I lost sight of the bigger one, and I don't know where it went. It just disappeared. Well, I thought when I thought actually when I seen this buck come up real close to me that it was the bigger one, but it wasn't because it was a lot smaller. So, anyways, I was watching deer in a distance, and I'm thinking, well, I ain't gonna get anything. I'm throwing out some grunt calls, and nothing's responding, nothing's even looking. And all of a sudden, I see a doe, and I'm like, oh, there's that buck that was chasing that doe. Because I seen afar, they were chasing the doe all around. I'm like, how do I get them over here? I've never had success with calling and getting them when they're on a deer, you know? Just never have, calling or rattling or nothing. And I can never get their attention off. Well, all I know is the doe came out, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is awesome, because you just hear the buck and like grunting. It's in my video.
Yeah, you got it all on film too.
Yeah,
yep,
and he's coming along, and he's just following that doe. Cuts in front of me, literally 20 yards, just yelling, just like, oh, I'm going to pound you, baby. And he comes in, and I'm like, I pull back, and I'm watching, I'm waiting until he's getting closer, and I throw out a meh. So I originally thought he's going to stop. I'm like, he's going to stop for sure, just because he heard me. So I anticipated he was going to stop. So I was already set where I was going to shoot. He didn't stop, and he took 2 more steps, and I shot. And it little 2 more steps, and I seen it go, and it hit him. And I'm like, oh, wow, that was a little far back. I'm like, crap, why'd I do that? So I started freaking out. Well, I made a mistake. Thought I missed him. I should have watched the film. I watched the film real quick. Watching, I'm like, I missed him. There's no way I hit him. I missed him. I have a film. I missed him. So I'm like, I went down. I'm like, I watched him for a good bit before I got down. So I made sure he was out of my area, made sure I didn't see him. So I got down, and it was only 20 yards. So I thought, okay, I'm safe, just to see where the arrow's at. And I get down there, and I'm like, I think I missed him. I can't find my arrow. And I walk a little bit along. I just want to see if there's any blood. Well, then I kick the deer up, and I'm like, fuck, shit. So
meanwhile, I'm at work, and I get notifications from our camera, and I see him like walking by, and then walking back by again. I'm like, what is he doing?
Well, this is after the case. This is whenever I walked a little bit back to my area, and I seen a hit, and I was like, man, I got up way too early. I know to wait an hour. I know to wait at least half an hour to an hour. I said, I just missed so much this year that I was like not confident that I hit it.
But you did get a doe.
Yeah, the week prior, but still, I was still beating myself up.
Mm-hmm.
And
but you didn't miss.
No, I didn't miss. I found out that I hit it, and I had some good blood. But I think
clean pass through.
I think he was still following the deer. Like I think he was still following that doe. Because whenever I was following the blood trail, and this was half an hour after I shot him, because that's when I spooked him, because I was on top of the hill following the blood, and then I seen a buck running in the distance. I'm like, oh my God, is that him? That looks too big to be him. I was like, I think I just messed up. I said, I'm like kicking myself in the butt. And I was going to make a video on this, what not to do, and I know that's not to do. I've done it. So, not everybody knows this story because I feel shameful of what I did, but
we tried though to find it.
Yeah, we tried. We looked. I looked for 3 days, and
got a dog.
Yeah, got a dog.
We looked at night for hours.
Yeah, I couldn't find it, and that was my mistake. It might be still alive. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
know. It's probably dead somewhere. And I made a mistake of getting down too soon. So guys,
it had
to go. Sure.
It had to go really far though, really far.
Yeah, unless you guys see it. Unless you see it drop, don't get down. Don't be mean. Don't think you missed it. Just take a precaution.
Even if it does drop, just wait.
Yeah, just wait. Because I've done it multiple times. I've kicked up deer when I first started hunting, and I said I'll never make that mistake again. And you know what? I made that mistake because I just had so much stuff. I put down suspense on my shoulders, beat myself up because I missed 2 deer in the season that I just didn't want to. I thought I missed again. So we had a dog. We looked. We freaking hiked. It's probably further, but we didn't see any blood after so far.
Yeah.
So I won't use Exodus broadheads anymore. screw that. Won't do it. Nope. The blood trail was even terrible with my doe, and it was 20 yards in front of me.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just gonna use my good old tried and true Walmart ones because
The Allen.
Ah,
The Allen,
well,
they're like $13 for 3 of them. That's all I use. Fixed blades.
I didn't use Allen. I want to say they were. I don't even know. They were an off-brand Slick Trucks. Maybe they were. I mean, I think I know people still use those, but they were an off-brand. They've always done their old tried and true. Once I find them and I go there, maybe I'd like to do a review of them, of all the Walmart brand, like all the cheaper ones, not the they actually carry good ones now.
Yeah, yeah. Like they have Rage, they have Schwacker, they got NAP.
Yeah. So, kind of, we're gonna speed this up a little bit. There's a lot to talk about, and we've talked about a lot.
So, Cody pretty much quit hunting after that.
Yes, on Friday, the next day, I should have went. I was just beating myself up. I said,
But what about the big buck you see?
"Yeah, oh yeah." So on the same day,
After
while
he
I'm
got
looking
down.
for the buck, the big buck comes right in front of me, 20,
Has
30
it on
yards.
film too. Sends
Yeah.
me a video.
Comes down right in front of me, grunting, freaking going after a doe or something. I'm like, oh my god! If I
Right
would have
behind the
waited,
stand.
if I would have waited like an hour and a half, I could have shot him.
But that's hunting.
Yep.
That's hunting.
And the next day, he came right beside my stand. So, and I
Yeah,
didn't go
'cause-
hunting.
yeah,
and
we had a
I had all
picture.
weekend to hunt, and I didn't go. I had Friday off. I was gonna go, but I was like, I felt so guilty about making a bad shot and making a bad mistake. I didn't go.
So, Cody quit hunting, and really the only cool part that I had, there was 2 instances after he quit hunting that I went out by myself because he was done. I went out a Saturday during rut in the morning. I just sat in the shanty. It was freezing cold. It was like 25 degrees that day. There was like deer everywhere in the field, in the woods, and there was this little 8-point out in the field, and I remember I was doing some immature grunts with my call, and I'm like, oh, here he comes, and he did, and here he comes through the field, right up through the woods, and he came behind me once, and then he came to the left of me one time, again, trying to shoot, a big deer, and finally, I should have shot him, but he actually kind of caught me by surprise. I heard steps right by me, and he literally came, because I was grunting this whole time. This is like a several-hour period, because you don't want to overcall. He come in like 18, 20 yards right beside me, and he caught me off guard because I was like, oh. And I seen him, and he stood there and just kind of looked at me, and I felt kind of dumb because I wasn't ready to shoot out the window of the shanty. So later that day, in the evening, I went to a totally different stand way on the other side of the road, and I was sitting there. It was about 4 o'clock, and I see antlers down over the hill, and I hear grunting, and I was like, oh. And then I see a doe, and I'm like, oh man. I'm like, he's on that doe. There's no way he's gonna come up here. So this stand I was in, basically is right on a ridge line. There's a big, huge ridge behind us, about 50 yards, and then there's about 50 yards in front of us, there's a huge ridge that drops down into like a valley, because it's an old strip mine, pretty much. That's all grown up. So I see him on this doe, so I did some grunts, and Cody kind of taught me, hey, and by learning, let's do immature grunts, because a larger buck is going to want to fight a immature deer rather than a mature one.
Yeah, sometimes if you make a mature grunt, you might spook them, so you kind of got to watch out what you do, or they'll ignore it. Sometimes they'll ignore it.
Yeah, and I only do like 3 at a time, and I try to like do them in different positions so they can't kind of pinpoint where you're at.
You don't want to overcall, because that's the big thing that'll deter them, because they'll realize, oh, that's not real, or that's, you know what I mean, like, who cares? They'll shrug it off. And like I said, doing it in different directions is great, because
I literally only did, not to cut you off, but I literally only did like 2 sets of 3 grunts, and they disappeared, because granted they're down over this ridge, and it's really thick down in there. It is very thick. And so it was about 10 minutes later, I hear steps in the leaves, and I'm like, I'm like, oh, there's a deer coming up over the hill. I'm like, no way those are the same deer coming. This hill is like straight up and down. I'm not really exaggerating, but it's not straight up and down. It's pretty steep. And I'm like, there's no way they're coming straight up over. And it was forever. I'm standing up, I'm ready. I don't know where they're going to come from because you can't see down over the hill. I don't know where they're going to come from. I'm constantly like, oh, where are they going to come? I just hear steps this whole time. So finally, a doe emerges about, I don't know, 30, 40 yards to the right of me, comes up over the hill. I'm like, oh, that buck's probably behind it. The buck's behind it. Sure enough, about, I don't know, a minute later, here comes the buck right behind it. I don't really know. It was legal. I don't know how big it was. I should have shot it, but I really didn't have a good shot. And the only time it stopped was in a roadway opening about 40 yards away, and there was a tree right down over the path, and it wasn't a good shot. And then after that, it goes into a thick stuff, and it wasn't really thick, but there's trees in the way, and it really didn't stop. So that was a cool encounter for that they come. I never believed that in a million years they would come straight up over the hill, especially the doe first to a grunt call. That was mind-blowing. I couldn't believe that.
And something he kept beating himself up. He's like, I should have taken that shot. And we kind of discussed it, and it's like, if you don't feel comfortable, it's better not to take the shot, because if you're not confident, because you feel worse, if, just like I did, that, well, I guess I took a decent shot. It could have been better, but I thought I hit it in a money spot anyways. But regardless, there's so many times I didn't take the shot because I'd feel worse off if I had to track that deer. I've had to track a couple deer pretty far. There's only been a few I haven't found, so I hate that feeling. So making the mistake is something I don't like to do. So I just told him it's better that you didn't shoot it. Even it's the last couple of weeks, you get antsy. You want to make a shot. You regret not shooting, but at the same time, it's like you just got to tell yourself you made the right decision.
So fast forward to rifle, we had a week off of no hunting after archery, and then rifle come in, and I took 2 days off in rifle, so I had 4 full days to hunt because the first Sunday you could hunt, and I went out all day. Well, I wouldn't say all day, but morning and afternoon, all 4 days, and it was freaking cold. It was cold, and seen a lot of deer. I don't have a doe tag, so the Sunday, actually a buck came out at the pond. There was 3 doe feeding. The pond is also 364 yards away from our shanty, and we hunt with other people, family members. And the one guy, he can see a lot more than me. He's over the ridge from me in his shanty. And a buck come out with those 3 doe. It was a small 8-point. Well, he took 3 shots at it and got it, so I went down and helped him with it. It was all right. It was just real small, probably only like, I don't know, maybe a 9-inch spread, but it was nice, symmetrical 8-point. Can't complain. I helped him drag it out. It didn't go far. Ran into a tree. That was kind of funny. It almost went into the creek too, down there, which that creek is really deep. Then after that, it was kind of like crappy. I mean, the only other instance I had was a Tuesday, the last day I had off. The afternoon, I sat across the road. I just sat on this ridge, and this little doe was like looking for stuff to eat, and it was eating like leaves and stuff that were still on plants, which is kind of cool to watch. I watched this doe for like 45 minutes. It got so close to me. I remember telling Cody the story. It was just walking around. It started coming up the hill towards me. It was like 20 yards away. I'm just sitting there on the ground. It was snowing that day and blowing. It was cold. And it was so cool. And it never did see me. Yeah. It never did. It was walking up straight towards me. I was like, oh. And it ended up turning and walked right beside me. And it's just kind of like rummaging around through the leaves looking for stuff to eat. And it eventually just kind of turned around and then like went out around the ridge instead of coming up over the ridge. It was so cool to watch that doe. It was just a little one. So that was about it. I mean, my dad and me went out. We seen some doe and a little 4 points, this and that, some illegal stuff. I watched a lot of deer come up through the woods to hit that scrape. There were so many.
Yep.
So then Cody ended up going out on a Thursday morning.
Yeah, after I talked myself into going hunting after messing up that chance and just making a huge mistake on that deer. I was like, I'm gonna go if I see something, whatever. So I go out in the morning and I get in the shanty, sitting there, I see, it's pretty dark. It took a while for it to light up. Seen quite a few doe, and I was like, I might not see anything today, but whatever. I'm out here. I feel good about it. Said if I see something, I see something. Well, I'm watching left, right, nothing. I just see a bunch of I see doe. I'm looking at a doe, watching it. I'm like, just watching how close it comes, and it's really hard to tell the points. Like I was like, I think I seen a spike, and then I seen a 4-point. And I'm like, okay, I couldn't tell if one was legal or not. It got closer. I was like, okay, it's not legal. Well, in the corner of my eye, I seen a pair of antlers. I look over. I'm like, oh, those must be the deer I seen earlier. I thought they disappeared. Well, they come up, and I'm like, oh, that's a buck. And I was like, oh, that's another buck. So I was like, I got real excited. I'm like, ooh, let's go. And I was like, okay, I couldn't decide. I'm looking at the one buck. I'm like, okay, that one's legal, 100% legal. It's legal. All right. And then I was looking at the other. I'm like, oh, that one's big. Holy crap. And I'm looking. I'm like, I don't think he's legal. He just looks like a big old fork. But he's like real wide. And I'd say he has maybe, obviously not real wide, but I'd say he has like a 16-inch spread if you want to get technical. I'd say on a 4-point. It ends up, I think he's a 6-point. But he just has brow tines, I think. But I'm not sure. I kept looking at him and looking at the smaller one. Looking back. I'm like, he's not legal, but he's so much bigger. He's like so much bigger. I'm like, I just want to shoot him. And I couldn't tell. I was like, I don't see 3 high. So I was like, crap. So I'm watching the one buck come up slowly. I'm like, okay, I know exactly where I'm going to shoot if I have to. But I'm still checking that buck, the bigger one, at least the wider one. And I'm like, he's really white. And I'm like, okay, I'm ignoring him now. So I was waiting, and the buck stopped right where I wanted him to. Somehow, I have no idea how, stopped right. He was maybe 30 yards from me. I shot, and my gun's a 7mm rim mag, and I haven't shot it in a while. And I was like, my shoulder dropped. I'm trying to look through the scope after I shoot, because that's a terrible thing I don't do is try to follow what the deer does.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I start using my eyes.
After you shoot.
Yeah. I'm starting using my eyes, and I'm like, where'd it go? I'm freaking out, grab my binoculars, looking. I look at that 4-point, 6-point, whatever he was, and he's chilling there. He's looking around, what just happened? He walked up, walked around, and I'm like, what just happened? I don't know, it just happened. I'm like, where'd it go? Well, I seen him, he's kind of moseyed off, and then he ran. So I got out, and I'm like, okay, well, if he's still walking, I'm going after him. And so I go real slow, and I'm going up. And the reason why I couldn't see him is there's a little hill there, and he dropped right where I shot him. That's why I couldn't see him. So Dean came up with the buggy, and I hurt my back the week before, so I needed help picking him up. And I told William before that, I said, I'm going to have to figure something out if I'm by myself. How the heck am I going to haul this deer? I can't even barely pick up my rifle.
Yeah.
So luckily Dean and Steve came and helped me load it up and send it out. He wasn't too bad. He was more he was real tight but higher. Right now he's in the ground. Hopefully bugs are eating his flesh.
So, and then flintlock season coming after Christmas. I was excited because it was the first time. I used to go with my dad, but I built my own flintlock last winter. So I was really excited to get out and try it. We shot it some in the summer just to test it out and stuff. So my dad went with me a couple days. All the days were terrible. Every day we went out was horrible. It was either raining, cold, snowing. It was terrible. So me and my dad went out a couple days. Cody went with me one day. We didn't see nothing. Nothing at all. I wouldn't say nothing at all, sorry. But very few deer. Very few deer, if any. So I'm just going to kind of put some highlights into what we did this season in Flintlock. The one day Cody went out with me, we were kind of doing the whole spot and stalk after we sat in the morning. And we were just walking along the same ridge where he spot and stalked some deer at an archery, which we told that story about. And Cody kept hearing grunting, and I said, I don't hear it. And here out the distance, there's like a group of deer, probably 3 or 4 deer, and they were running, and we seen them. And we were just on the ridge line, and they just happened to turn and come right towards us. So I hurried up and ran past Cody out to the ridge line, and all I did was click my set trigger, and I couldn't get them to stop. I was shouting and making, noises out, nothing. They didn't stop. I don't know where they went. I just wasn't comfortable with the shot at all, so I didn't take it, and that was about it. So I decided to go out today. It was super cold. It was in the 20s, snowing and ice the night before. It was snowing today, and I went out this afternoon, and I went across the road onto that ridge where I seen that doe in rifle season that came to me. And I'm walking up there. It was super windy too, by the way, so it's real loud in the woods. And I kind of figured the deer would be down in the valley because there's not really wind down there, and there's water down there. It's really thick. So I'm walking up to that spot, and I'm looking around. I'm like, maybe I'll just sit here. I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, oh, there's a deer right there. So there was 2 doe down there, and there's a bigger one out front. And I ranged it at like 60 yards, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's... because typically a flintlock, like 100 yards is the max. I probably wouldn't even shoot that far. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm going to sneak over here and get a little bit closer and kind of lean on a tree. I made so much noise trying to get over there closer. So I ranged it again. It was still about 60 yards because it's on this straight ridge. And because I had to go like around this pine tree that's up there. And like I broke some sticks and like nothing. They didn't even hear me. And I was like, geez. So I leaned against a tree, put my set trigger off, and like I have this terrible thing where I flinch real bad because a flintlock's very delayed. It's like click, boom, and I forgot how bad it kicks too. And well, maybe I'm just a girl, so
you said it, not me.
I shot, and I'm watching. I'm like, yep, I didn't hit it because this deer didn't even move. It didn't pick its head up. It did nothing. Nothing. It's still rummaging around in the leaves, and I'm like, ugh. So, long story short here, guys, you can reload a bow quicker than a flintlock. So I have my sack on my side here, and I'm, rummaging through it, trying to reload it as fast as I can, get another shot in there. And I had just put my ball starter in my barrel, and my, it's lube, barrel lube that you put on the patches, fell out of my sack and rolled down the hill. Well, that deer looked up and seen me, and it took off, and so did the other one. I was like, ugh. So I got my gun loaded, picked my stuff up, put it back in my sack, and that was pretty much it. I mean, I walked around the rest of the day, up and down the steep hills, sat in a couple spots. I seen one other deer down there, but that was like way after. I went down, looked where the deer was standing, no blood. I mean, there's tons of snow, not a ton of snow on the ground, but the snow, and then it had like a icy layer on top of it. I've seen the tracks. I followed them a little ways. Nothing. No blood. I'm like, yep, I clearly missed. Jeez. So then I'm like, I'm just going to shoot my gun again to unload it anyways. It's dirty. I got to clean it anyway. So I put one of my water bottles up full of snow because I put snow in it so it would stay up on a stump. And I walked back about 20 yards and shot and missed it too. I seen wood flying, so at least I hit the stump. I don't know where I hit the stump at, but again, I didn't realize how bad it kicked.
Yeah.
But it's so delayed.
I think you need a sight.
I need to practice more.
I think it's off. Like, I think your sight is off.
And I think I'm flinching.
Oh yeah.
It is so delayed. You're just like literally like click, boom.
Oh yeah.
And then like
a second, yeah.
I was even worried because when I was walking to my spot and I was charging my pan, I was trying to watch it. So anyways, I don't know what you guys missed. Again, because the camera stops.
Yeah.
So I realized my flint was loose when I was charging my pan, and I had to like take my flint back out, reposition it, put it back in there tight. I'm like, oh, I hope this goes off now, because I worry about all that. Because like, there's so much to go wrong in a flintlock. You don't have enough pan powder in there. If your flint's not gonna spark right, etc., etc. And so pretty much, I think I need to practice more with the flintlock to not flinch as bad. It's to me. I think a flintlock is harder than a bow.
Yeah,
definitely, because like you can reload faster with a bow.
Well, so you don't got to worry about it raining or if it's moist out or anything like
you
duty.
don't. To be honest with you, when I shot at that deer, I was just happy that my gun went off.
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
When I shot, I was like, oh, it went off.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it went off. It went off.
But
But
worry about it.
so, I mean, it's very primitive hunting, which is fine. And like I kept telling myself, I was like, hey, remember? And I kept running it through my head. Remember that episode when Steven Ranella came out to Pennsylvania and he went flintlock hunting, and he missed 2 deer because I think the one time he just missed, and the other time the gun didn't go off. So it's at least I got to shoot at something.
And that's what I kept telling. I said it's not easy. It's not.
It is not.
Everyone would do it. Like he's literally part of a Facebook group, and they want muzzleloader to hunt to be during the flintlock, and I'm like,
yeah,
well,
they want to use inlines and percussions.
Yeah, it's like,
okay, what do you want?
You
Stuff
might
just
as well-
handed to you?
I don't know. You might as well just use
A deer rifle.
Yeah, because I mean, at that point, why does it matter? It's like, that's a discussion between archery and also like crossbows and
A
compounds,
bow.
but that's how I
Yeah,
would
like-
compare it.
Yeah, exactly. And like I even think, like I've said, I don't know if you guys heard this or not, a bow is easier than a flintlock. No, you can't shoot as far with a bow. Some people do though, but you can reload faster. You don't have to, like you said, you don't have to worry about moisture. And you just like, your sights are like dead on, you know where you're shooting at. Whereas like a flintlock, say you like measure your powder a little bit off,
Yep.
or maybe your ball or your patch is a little bit different than the last one. It might shoot, an inch difference. You don't know.
Yeah, especially like I could imagine even just how you sit the patch in there. If it's a little bit like jammed more to the left or the right.
Yeah,
I feel
or
that's
like,
gonna deter
do you have it packed in there the same as the last time when you ram it down?
Yeah, if it's not in as far, it's gonna shoot different. Like I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of
There's
factors.
So much to go wrong. Way more, I think, than archery. But that could be an argument. But
It definitely makes me want to do it.
Ugh.
But the problem with buying, I want to do a custom one like you do, because that'd be cool to build.
yeah, like I fully, like it was a kit, and I like added to the kit by customizing it my own. Like I put a side plate on it, which you don't really ever see side plates on guns. I wish that my dad could show you his that he built back in like I don't even the 60s or 70s, which back then they didn't really even. He has a couple that he built. He has like a little squirrel. Oh, it's not little. It's a squirrel rifle, a 36 caliber full stock one. It's like this long. He built that, and then his flintlock. And back then, he said there wasn't even kits to build flintlocks. You literally bought a barrel, and you bought a lock, and you bought a stock blank, and then you would like do it yourself, make your own kit. And he said how his dad used to build them. He'd router out the stocks and stuff, and like. I wish you could see his. His looks a lot like mine because I like the ones with the patch box in them and all that. Not that I have patches in the patch box, so I just get them out of my sack because whatever.
He talks a lot about lube and sacks, but anyways,
you do need to use lube on your patches. Maybe just buy the.
He
free
also
lube
brings
one.
other kinds of lube with him at all times.
You can never be more prepared.
Yeah, you always have to be prepared.
Okay, well we're probably gonna end it.
Yeah,
here.
I would say we end it. So I know we didn't get into a few other things we promised, but
We went a little bit over.
it probably would have been a little bit shorter, but we've had to take this multiple times. We had to do a little different this time. Hopefully it sounds okay. Maybe I'll adjust the audio if it sounds like doo-doo.
Yeah, this is podcast 8.
Podcast 8. So we really appreciate you guys watching. I know,
Listening.
Yes, and what did we discuss? I don't remember if we discussed it, but make sure to leave a review on our Spotify or Apple podcasts. Make sure
Please, if you listen.
Yes, we'd appreciate it. It's going to help push us. It'll maybe give us more motivation to make more of these podcasts. And, we're slowly buying better gear. This is on our new camera. We're learning how to use this. It took us 20 minutes to even start this freaking
Yeah, like figure out how to set it up, the mic, this and that.
Yeah, so we do appreciate you guys stopping by. And we are PA Blue Collars Outdoors. And next time you might see a sign up here,
Hopefully.
Maybe, we'll see. But
well, at least a poster.
Yeah, there's gonna be a poster at least. I don't know about that one, but we're slowly gonna make this into an area for podcasts. Maybe make it a little warmer so you don't see some cold breath.
Yeah.
I'm just messing. But yeah. So thanks for stopping by. You guys have a good night. See ya.
Oh fuck.
Yep, I'm done.
Yep.